It is no longer news that Nigeria, a nation blessed with human and natural resources, has vast potential, yet to be fully harnessed. For decades, since the discovery of oil, the nation has continued to grapple with overdependence on fossil fuels for its energy needs, primarily oil and gas. On the flip side, the nation has consistently contended with the challenge of inadequate and unreliable power supply, which affects a large number of the population, thereby stalling economic growth and prosperity. But as the nation awakes to the present reality of tapping into the benefits of renewable energy sources for power generation, there is hope for exploration in this drive for diversification. The federal government, on its part, continues to implement policies for increased uptake of renewables in the country, especially with the myriad of benefits it holds for the commercial and industrial sectors. By investing in solar energy to hydropower supply, well, call it a mixed grill of energy supply towards achieving energy transition plan of net zero by 2060. The Energy Commission of Nigeria, a body charged with the responsibility for coordinating and supervising all energy functions and activities within the country, holds a mandate of actualizing the nation's vision. As Nigeria commits to energy transition to mitigate the impact of climate change by reducing emission and adopting renewable and cleaner energy sources to power its economy, how effective is the implementation plan to achieving net zero? Tonight on Weekend File, we'll look at ways of harnessing renewable energy in Nigeria. And our guest is the Director General, Energy Commission of Nigeria, Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi. We'll bring you situation reports as filed in by our correspondents. Thank you for joining us on Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguela. First, let's bring you the news. In an effort towards tackling broader challenges in key areas of health, education and skills development, Nasarawa State Government has developed 2 policy documents to facilitate implementation of programs aimed at improving lives of the people in the state. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who launched the 2 documents in Lafia, restated the commitment of the federal government to support states in driving noble ideas that will address the current economic challenges. Aliyu Tijani reports.
The 2 documents are Nasarawa State Human Capital Development Strategy Document and the State Gender Transformative Human Capital Development Policy Framework. Vice President Kashim Shettima commends Nasarawa State Government for developing the 2 documents aimed at enhancing human capacity and improve the state economy. He calls for full implementation of the document by the implementing agencies in order for the people of the state to reap its maximum benefits.
As we celebrate this leap towards the future, we are reminded that the way forward must be shaped by state-specific action plans that address the unique challenges and opportunities in each region. This is the essence of progress.
The document underscored the position of Nasarawa, Akwa Ibom, and Kaduna states in the Human Capital Development Index in the country, which Governor Abdullahi Sule says mechanisms have been put in place to ensure the implementation of the document in the state.
These documents will no doubt guide us to propel Nasarawa State into a new era of development, inclusivity, and economic prosperity.
It is, in essence, a strategic blueprint for transformation, a roadmap that will guide our efforts in addressing the core challenges that have historically impeded our development and the full realization of our state's potential.
While in Lafia, the Vice President flagged off distribution of relief items that include food items, chicken feeds, sewing machines, cooking stoves, grinding machines, among others, donated to the state by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons and the Bank of Industry. At the palace of the Emir of Lafia, the Vice President commends the peaceful coexistence in the state, describing the prevailing peace as pivotal to the prosperity of the state. In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani, NTA News.
In other news, Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar says Nigeria, as the giant of Africa, has gone far in its efforts at securing a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. The minister, while addressing journalists on the economic policies put in place by the Tinubu administration, also calls for more patience by Nigerians to achieve the country's reforms target. Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Maitama Tuga said the country has helped a lot in stabilizing and strengthening democracy on the entire African continent. On the current pressing domestic issues in the country, the minister said the reforms policies by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are all geared towards stabilizing the weak economy which his administration inherited for the benefit of Nigerians.
And we're beginning to feel the impact. It is slow, but you also have to remember that Nigeria is not in isolation. This hardship is taking place all over the world.
While calling on Nigerians to exercise more patience for the benefits involved in the Tinubu administration policies and programs, the minister also said that Nigeria has stand firm on its proposal to the United Nations on the need to halt the escalation violence in the Israel-Palestine conflict. In Bauchi, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is rooting for the use of innovative technology in achieving presidential deliverables in the housing sector. The Minister of Housing, Ahmed Musa Dengiwa, gave the hint while receiving awards on behalf of the ministry. Let's hear from Francis Udojo.
The application of innovative technology is growing rapidly in developed countries and gradually gaining more grounds in developing ones such as Nigeria. This growing trend is traced to its potentials in efficient service delivery. The Ministry of Housing is one of Nigeria's government ministries imbibing the system in its services, notably its launch of the Renewed Hope Housing digital portal for easy access by Nigerians. This initiative and more gained the ministry the awards of Distinguished Trailblazers and Best Federal MDA in Innovation Technology bestowed on by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms at the Nigeria GovTech Conference event in Abuja.
We are truly delighted that our efforts to leverage technology to improve service delivery, enhance operations, and also increase performance to more effectively fulfill our ministry's mandate have been recognized by the Bureau.
Nigeria, through the Federal Executive Council, have approved an e-government master plan, which has set the roadmap for digitalization of public service in Nigeria.
Guests at the event believe the use of technology, if adopted in Nigeria by all sectors, could improve IGR and block leakages. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association, NAFOA, we hear, is ready to combat breast cancer head-on by opening its doors to the community, offering free breast cancer screenings to all with 50% discount on subsequent screenings. NAFOA President Rekia Abubakar let the cat out of the bag at the Cancer Awareness Walk and Talk at the NAF-based sports complex, NAF Valley Estate, Asokoro, here in Abuja.
As the sun began to rise over Abuja, vibrant colors filled the sky, mirroring the spirit of the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association, NAFOA, as they gathered for a cancer awareness walk. This year's theme, Educate, Empower, Eradicate a Future Without Cancer, echoed in the hearts of everyone present. Though one or two might have lost their loved ones to breast cancer, today they wear a ribbon in their honor, determined to turn their grief into action. They walk each step resonating with purpose about early detection and importance of regular checkups to residents of Now Valley Estate, Asokoro, Abuja.
We must empower those affected by cancer. This involves ensuring robust support system, high-quality healthcare, and the essential resources needed to navigate this challenging journey. No one should battle cancer in isolation, and through empowerment, we provide strength and hope to individuals and families.
With a renewed sense of hope, the participants pledged to continue their advocacy. They envisioned a future where no one would face cancer alone, where education would pave the way for empowered choices, and where community support could ultimately eradicate this silent adversary. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Victims of road crashes in Kano will now benefit from an excellent first aid treatment and seamless response to an emergency following the inauguration of a clinic by the Federal Road Safety Corps to mitigate the impact of road accidents in the state. Yohannes Hassan Barau reports that the step is in compliance with the global practices in road management.
Behind me is Murtala Mohammed Specialist Hospital, one of the secondary facilities where people rush on daily basis to receive first-hand medical attention. But with the launch of the Accident and Emergency Clinic of the Federal Road Safety Corps, there will be a reduction in the number of people that come here on daily basis to receive emergency medical attention, especially road accident victims.
As part of the philanthropic support to victims of road accidents in Kano, stakeholders and wealthy individuals pulled resources together to establish an emergency clinic equipped with state-of-the-art facilities. While inaugurating the facility, the Secretary to Government of Kano State, Baffa Bichi, alongside Co-Marshal Federal Road Safety Co., Shehu Muhammad, said such intervention is coming at a critical moment.
With the FIC, we are going to continue to deliver our mandate of creating a safe and secure military environment for the people of Nigeria.
We are really happy to have this opportunity to be able to establish a clinic that will cater for accident victims.
I'm going to take a report to His Excellency the Governor of Kano State and present some of the demands that are going to help in boosting the capacity of this hospital.
Plan is on the way to expand the existing facilities at the newly inaugurated Accident and Emergency Clinic situated within Kano Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps. In Kano, Yohannes Hassan Barau, NTA News.
And let's look at politics. The Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party has called on all factions of the National Working Committee to set aside their differences and embrace dialogue. Correspondent Timothy Yusuf reports that while the board maintains that aggrieved persons must, in the overall interest of the party, revert to the status quo to preserve the unity and stability of the party. The acting National Publicity Secretary, Ibrahim Manga, pointed out that the court has spoken and they are guided accordingly.
Chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Adolphus Wabara, understands that disagreements may arise, but as a party with a long-standing tradition of internal democracy, members must not let the prevailing challenges derail their collective vision. He said the Board of Trustees will meet with the members of the NWC to intervene, foster reconciliation, and ensure that normalcy is restored in the NWC.
And it is our collective responsibility to ensure that any issues or disputes within the party are addressed with diplomacy, sacrifice, patience, and an unwavering commitment to unity.
Meanwhile, spokesperson of Nigeria Opposition Lawmakers Coalition, Ikenga Ugochinyere, has said that the court order restraining NEC, BOT, and other entities from removing the acting chairman of the PDP, Umar Damagum, from office didn't stop the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party before they suspended the acting national chairman.
The NWC acted on behalf of the NEC to invoke the provisions of Article 57 and Article 58 by suspending the former national chairman, Omar Damagu, from office.
The court is the last arbiter. It has now spoken and forbade anyone whatsoever acting on behalf of the party or otherwise in taking any decision suspending the acting chairmanship or the capacity of Ambassador Umar Iliadam are going to continue in this capacity.
Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari extends his deep condolences to Mele Kyari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, following the demise of his daughter, 25-year-old Fatima Kyari. In a condolence message, the former president expresses shock at the incident and prays Allah to console the family at this time of grief. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at ways of harnessing renewable energy in Nigeria. Please stay tuned. Glad you're there. And just before we begin our conversation, let's bring a background report. Nigeria commits to energy transition to mitigate the impact of climate change by reducing emission and adopting renewable and cleaner energy sources to power its economy. Now, with a pathway set on roadmap to 2060, how effective is the implementation plan to achieve a net zero? Joshua Ojito reports.
With an estimated 200 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve, Nigeria is truly blessed and could achieve the desired energy sufficiency as the world transits from fossil fuel to renewable sources. Not just gas, but other renewable energy sources also available for Nigeria to explore in our journey to energy transition in key sectors, including solid minerals and transportation.
The issue of net zero is not absolute zero. The meaning is that we can still continue to use oil and gas emitting, but then as years come by, we'll be absorbing the emission through two major schemes. Trees are excellent absorbers of carbon dioxide emissions. So as years go by, even when we reach 2060, there will still be use of oil and gas. But by that 2060, we have to capture all the emissions absolutely so that the emissions and then the absorption will balance each other.
Barely 35 years to the deadline. Nigeria, however, not resting on its oars to meet up this deadline, but adopting gas as its transitory fuel with renewed commitment to investing in compressed natural gas, CNG, and also facilitating more investment in renewable-backed electrification models.
We are moving into investment in utility-scale solar source of energy, whereby we have about 2 companies now that are ready to install 3 gigawatts, that's 3,000 megawatts of solar power source.
We're also into the renewable energy, because that's the future of energy. And, we're doing a lot in the area of solar PV installation and maintenance, the solar PV supervision.
Stakeholders say challenges of funding with an estimated $10 billion investment needed annually over the next 35 years be addressed, while federal government roll out incentives to encourage investment in renewable energy and address inconsistencies in policies, as well as ensure proper coordination for Nigeria to achieve net zero by 2060. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
All right, let's begin the conversation on harnessing the renewable energy in Nigeria. We have a guest in the studio, the Director General Renewable Energy in Nigeria, Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Abdullahi.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we've just seen the background report, the potential of transiting, energy transition. And we're seeing that there are benefits, reliability and, of course, stable power supply. But you tell us, for the benefit of some of our viewers, when we're saying energy transition from the usual norm, what exactly are we talking about?
Again, good evening. By the word energy transition, it means a global shift from the fossil fuel-based economy or energy production to a more renewable and more greener energy production source. So that's the simple definition for energy transition. And it is important to note that energy transition has become a global phenomenon because in Nigeria in particular, we are not immune from the global warming. And the effects, the devastating effect that we've seen, such as flooding, has triggered the need for the nation to also join the League of the Nation to also transit from some of its fossil fuel-based economy to a greener economy. Thank you.
Okay, and from the report we saw, our correspondent, brought up issues of the inconsistency in policies. Are there present policies, that will address this transition, from fossil fuels to renewable energy?
So, yes, there are. However, I would like to just address something because when people hear transiting from fossil fuel, they might mistake what that means, what I just said earlier. It is important to note that by energy transition, the country is not moving its own focus from fossil fuel generation. So the Nigerian government is very, very committed in producing and also exploring its crude oil and gas. However, like I said earlier, because there is a devastating effects that it's affecting the globe and is also affecting the country, so we need to transit. The first statement that was made by the government, in particular 2021 at COP26 in Glasgow in the United Kingdom, the then President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled the National Energy Transition Plan. And shortly after that, there's a creation of an act. The Climate Change Act was created. And even an agency was created to drive, to coordinate the climate change matters and also the Energy Transition Master Plan. The National Center for Climate Change was created, and that's the first statement that was made by Nigeria. And since then, we've been running creating policies and master plans to get us to net zero. Thank you.
And I'm glad you mentioned COP26 there, right? And at COP28, which was just last year, Nigeria pledged commitment, to upskill its energy efficiency, to meet the global energy efficiency target for 2030. What would you say the Commission is doing, to achieve that?
So the Commission attended the COP28. That was in Dubai last year. And then we witnessed the pledge by all nations. In particular, Nigeria also joined all nations to pledge to triple its renewable energy generation and also to double the energy efficiency. So we came back with the mindset of implementing and coordinating policy to drive that statement Mr. President made at COP. The Commission so far, looking at the importance of tripling the renewable energy generation, has noted that for us to triple it, there must be some element of domestication and localization of the renewable energy technology. So as such, we develop policies that localize generations of renewable energy, from renewable sources, in particular solar. And what we are doing, because for us to also ensure that renewable energy is very effective and it's it's accepted by the our populace in the country, you must make sure that it's cheap, affordable, and it must be accessible. So what we are doing in the commission is to localize, to establish plants that, that produces the solar panels, PV system, the modules, and also, trying to bring investors in to set up factories to, set up the entire value chain in the solar technology, in particular, that's storage technology, the battery system. As we're all aware, lithium is one of the minerals that Nigeria is really, really proud of having in mass. And so what we are doing in the commission is to, promote and encourage investors to come and set up factories here to, produce lithium batteries, and not just enhancing this, producing, mining the lithium and taking away and, bringing an already made product for us to buy. So as such, it makes it cheaper and very, very accessible. So that's the roadmap we're following to ensure that we triple and also double the energy efficiency in the country.
Not too long, the REA, that's the Rural Electrification Agency, came out to say that, if the alternative grid energy solutions are being harnessed, it could help create a $9.2 billion, year-on market annually, which could actually help with the mini-grid and solar home system. Now, that's a lot, which will require a lot of investment. Are these investors, talking about the international community, coming in and looking at ways to help Nigeria expand on the opportunities therein?
Thank you. So it's not in doubt that, the renewable energy and to mitigate climate change is a very, very it's very expensive to achieve that, particularly to achieve net zero. And the estimate it's $410 billion, which is from the master plan that, research that was done by the Commission with, in collaboration with other agencies. And I would recall that recently I represented the, nation in the group of 20, G20, in a working group in Brazil. And that working group is the Energy Transition Working Group, where we all negotiated and we pledged for support from the so-called, global nations or the power nations to, members of the G20. And it is clear there, our statement in the G20 was particularly in line with the fact that we know that the GHG, the greenhouse gas emission that we are all trying to mitigate or to capture from the African country is now contributing even up to 3% of that match. So it is also recognized that we are, feeling that the devastating effect more than them, because they are ready, they have all technology to mitigate, the effect. And, it came, example, the recent floods, and we're facing, you can see so much damages. So all that was stated, in Brazil then, and we got a response from the countries, and they pledged that they will support with with what they call climate finance. There are finances that are, available for countries, in particular the global, South nations, to developing countries to, apply for. If you show clear interest in it, particularly, Nigeria, we have already tabled our interest in such global funds, and we're talking, and I'm pretty sure very, very soon we'll have, factories and some climate change mitigating frameworks, implementation on ground. So yes, we're going to, the financiers are committed to come to Africa to help.
Well, good to know. And when we come back from this break, Dr. Abdullahi, we'll look at the benefits, especially in the areas of job creation. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Good to have you back. Before we bring in our guest, Dr. Abdullahi, to pick up with the conversation, we want to bring you a report. Nigeria needs to build a framework for sustainable renewable energy. That's what experts are saying, which must be embraced by stakeholders in both the private and public sectors for the socio-economic growth of the country. This was the view of environmental advocates who spoke on harnessing renewable energy in Nigeria. Let's hear from Larry Belay.
Availability of adequate, reliable, sustainable and cost-effective energy is essential for socio-economic growth of any nation. This can be achieved with paying more attention to renewable energy. In Nigeria, these sources of energy are in abundance. For instance, solar energy from the sun, hydro from water, biomass from forest waste, and wind energy. As conversations continue on the various sources of renewable energy, government and all the stakeholders have highlighted the gains laid as well as strategies of harnessing the potential, especially circular energy. Environmentalists believe Nigeria needs to walk the talk.
The sun, solar system, solar panel and all that, it's still not a thing yet in Nigeria. It's just for the rich and the mighty. Wind turbine, harnessing of the wind for turbines for creating energy, harnessing of our waters for creating energy. All these are largely untapped into in Nigeria.
Focus on a clearer renewable energy roadmap. Now, these policies should prioritize solar energy, biogas energy, because we have a lot of waste, food waste, and we have sun in Africa, right, and in Nigeria anyway. So while providing financial incentives at the same time for investment in green energy solutions at all levels of our society.
They also called on key players in the private sector to be more intentional in adopting renewable energy sources to reduce their over-reliance on fossil fuels. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
All right, Dr. Abdullahi, of course, from the respondents there, they're looking at ways we can harness all the aspect of this renewable energy. But let's explore the opportunities abound when we harness this renewable energy in the aspect, as a tool for job creation. Tell us.
Thank you very much. So I will just run us to where we are now. Our electricity generation for about a decade now has been between 10,000 megawatts to, say, 14,000 megawatts. And it's important to note that the country will need, at least for every citizen to have access to electricity, we will need an average of 40,000 megawatts. And all we've been doing is to try to generate, from 80% from gas, plants and hydro, then with little based from renewable energy. And we're still here. It is important to note that renewable energy is classified to be the cheapest and the easiest, technology to generate electricity. Why do we say that? We'll take just one source, which is solar, the most popular one. Sunlight is free. Nigeria has one of the highest or the best sun ray intensity in the world. Denmark is a very, very cold country, but they generate their electricity, their total generation, 30% from solar. So why are we not doing so? So there is opportunity here. The most, important aspect as a government for us is to guarantee energy security. We cannot guarantee energy security if we don't imbibe and have a perfect energy mix. And with energy mix, bringing renewable energy into the energy mix means, we don't have to worry about buying gas. We don't have to worry about the hydro turbine building or how much it's going to cost. All we need is just panels and inverters. And we can do this. How do we do it? Localization and domestication. We can have industries that's going to produce the solar PV systems. That's going to bring jobs to so many. And that's what the Energy Commission is doing. We're building solar PV factories in 3 locations already. One in Nsukka, and one in Sokoto, and we're planning to do one in Abuja in the central. And this will involve so many workforce. And when these factories are ready, we start rolling out 5, 10, 50 megawatts. It means that you and I will be buying this, solar panel setup in a very affordable, price. So there's so many opportunities here, and we're sure very, very soon Nigerians will start tapping from these immense, opportunities in renewable energy sector.
Yeah, and I know since solar is one that is of high demand, what about other sources of renewable energy like the biomass, the wind, what's the last, hydro? Is the Commission exploring other areas? Because these are also potential to be harnessed.
So in the country, hydro is already one of our major sources of, obviously, from gas. Yeah. You're looking at hydro. So the Commission, some of our centers have some, hydro dams, pilot plants that we're looking at, simulating to understand more how we can, generate more in a newer technology, not the regular hydro, dams technology, turbine technology. So the Commission is not only looking at solar. Matter of fact, the Commission has recently commissioned some of our facilities to look at, researchers to look at integrated hybrid system that brings solar and wind energy together as a mini grid, to generate electricity, because we recognize that some of our geographical areas in the country has more solar than wind, wind energy. So what we are doing is to, have all the energy mix, and that is why it's called energy mix. While you have solar, some plants giving solar energy, and you have wind energy, you have even nuclear. The first nuclear reactor we have in the country was built by the Commission, which is in Zaria Center. So we're looking at all the entire value chain of energy to see that we have all the sources into our energy mix. In particular, like I said earlier, we have started research, in developing a component or system that can generate at the same time, have tap from the wind energy and also generate electricity from solar energy integratedly. So that's a big, breakthrough, and very soon we're going to get that in the country.
Okay, and Nigeria, of course, continues to pledge, ambitious commitment to this renewable energy. But what is your vision, for the energy transition security for Nigeria, the future for Nigeria?
Yes, so for me, I think energy transition is a strategy for us. It's a huge opportunity. Like I said earlier, we must not transit if we don't want to, because how much of this, carbon footprints are we, emitting to the, to the ozone layer? How much of it? Less than 3% for the entire Africa. Nigeria, we're looking at less than 1%. So we mustn't transit. But transition brings so much opportunity. We don't have adequate electricity or adequate supply of energy. And we are over-relying on gas. It hasn't been very, very positive. So if we really key into renewables, it means that we're bringing other sources of energy into our energy mix. If we can take example, what we need, like I said earlier, is 40,000 megawatts to reach out to every household, So if we're generating 5,000 megawatts from solar, 5,000 megawatts from wind energy, and we're doing maybe 10,000 from hydro, we're doing 10,000 from gas, because gas for us is still a strategy, is a transition strategy for us. You mentioned earlier in your report that we have 200 trillion cubic feet. Yes, we have above that below our earth crust, and we cannot leave that. So we can, produce that gas safely by capturing, imbibing our CCU, carbon capture utilization technology while we do that, so that we don't flare gas, produce our gas and, convert it to, a portable or more safer, component, like example, CNG.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Recall also that the president launched an initiative called the Presidential, Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. And that for us is a very good strategy. Gas is a cleaner, source of energy in compared to our, premium motors, our PMS. If you also compare gas with other sources like methanol, CNG, you know that, we have a free, because for us, we have it. All we need to do, and it will interest you to note that the energy we have today, in our transportation system, which is the petrol, regular petrol, it's the same process. What we do is to drill, we produce it from the reservoir, we take it to refinery, we refine it, and we bring it in, and and all that.
Okay.
We can do the same for this gas. We can drill, get our gas, process it to CNG. CNG is a cleaner source of energy than, compared to, that's why it's called transit. We're getting to net zero. We're not going to move to zero. So if we start, using CNG, which is also cheaper than the petrol, some of us, the Commission has already converted some of its cars, to CNG, and we've experimented the efficiency of CNG, and I can guarantee you that CNG is more efficient than the petrol engine.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi. Of course, we cannot overlook the benefits therein. Renewable energy, gives us power for a safer and reliable energy sources. Thank you very much. He is the DG Energy Commission of Nigeria. Thank you for your time on Weekend File.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
We wish you the best.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. Ahead of the World Standards Day, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment and Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, are urging manufacturers and producers to ensure compliance to standards to drive better world for a shared vision. To this end, an awareness work was organized to enlighten the public on the relevance of standards in Abuja. Musa Abubakar reports.
Every year on October 14th, the world comes together to celebrate World Standards Day, a day dedicated to raising awareness about the importance of standards in promoting quality, safety, and innovation. To mark this year's celebration, the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, is leading an awareness walk through the streets of Abuja, promoting the value of standardization across sectors.
Standard is the bedrock of industrialization. It is the key of what we do. Is the root. It takes its root from everything we do at SON. Like I mentioned, in terms of regulations, in terms of certifications, and in terms of conformity assessment. So standard is very important.
This year's global theme, Shared Vision for a Better World, aligns with SON's efforts to ensure Nigerian products meet international benchmarks, enhancing market competitiveness and consumer trust. As Nigeria continues to navigate economic challenges, events like this highlights the critical role of standards in ensuring sustainable growth. SON's awareness walk is a reminder, embracing standards, Nigeria can build a safer and more competitive economy. From the streets of Abuja, this is how the Standards Organization of Nigeria is paving the way for a better tomorrow, one step at a time. In Abuja, I'm Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
And taking that next step, let's delve to sports. Francisca is standing by. Francisca, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Ruth. Welcome to Sports Update. Bendel Insurance suffered their heaviest loss in 16 years in the Nigeria Premier Football League after a 3-0 loss to Ikorodu United on March Day 6. Kelechi Owen's brace after review Ayemwere opening goal was all Ikorodu City needed to secure their first win in the league this season at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, while in at the Dikpo Dina Stadium. Stephen Chukwube's lone strike was enough as Sunshine beat defending champions Rangers 1-0. Wireless FC of Abuja have emerged the 2024 champions of the 5 Stars Premier League following a 1-0 victory over Ojodo City FC. Wireless were qualified for the national finals as North Central champions maintained an unbeaten run throughout the league season, which attracted local and international scouts of foreign clubs.
Had so many players that moved. We have players that left the team, but the next man up came up and gave us the same performance because all the time we step on the pitch, we play together as a team. So that was the one defining factor for us.
A lot of scouts and agents have been following up with the progress of the league. So it's just a wake-up call to the grassroots community that a lot can be achieved when good structures like these are being put in place.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Football Federation has commiserated with families of the 3 persons who were killed by kidnappers in an ambush on the Ihiala-Olu Road in Anambra State ahead of the 2025 AFCON qualifiers between Nigeria and Libya in Uyo. NFF President Ibrahim Musa Gusau wrote the unfortunate incident where a designated media crew of 14 were ambushed, leading to a death of policeman, a cameraman, and the bus driver. 8 people were rescued by security forces, while 2 escaped and 1 is unaccounted for. To wrestling, wrestlers from 14 military and paramilitary organizations will hit the mat for honors at the Controller General of Customs Wrestling Championships in Abuja. Chairman Local Organizing Committee, Brigadier General Lawole Fawole, noted that the championship, aside from promoting camaraderie among different organizations, also offers the platform for talent discovery.
Drive for not budding talents, but talents that could be nurtured in the immediate onto national and international relevance.
This inaugural championship promises to significantly strengthen the dynamic synergy between military and civilian spheres.
Anybody who knows the CGC is not surprised that he's making this move to sponsor this program because he's a lover of sports like we know him.
To tennis, Novak Djokovic will play world #1 Jannik Sinner in the final of the Shanghai Masters after a 6-4, 7-6 victory over Taylor Fritz. Djokovic has now beaten the United States Fritz at each of their 10 encounters and remains in contention for his 100th career title as a professional player. Well, that's it on Sports Update. It's back to Ruth.
Thank you, Francisca. And time for us to go home, right? Okay, it's good night from us. Thank you for being part of Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Bye.